I don't know why everybody always assumes just because we live full-time in an RV, we're always on vacation.
I don't know either. Don't know where they get it from.
Welcome back to Miller's in Motion.
Since starting full-time RV life, we've come across several misconceptions, and today we're ready to debunk them.
Also, if this image looks just a little different to you, we are testing a brand new camera. So don't worry, the big Sony cinematic camera is not going anywhere, but we really needed a better B camera, also something a little smaller we could take everywhere. So we're testing this one. So we're going to shoot the entire video on this camera. Let us know your thoughts. If you like it, don't like it, prefer the other one, whatever you think, we want to know to a point.
That's also code for I broke the GoPro.
Yeah, you can break GoPros.
I think the first and most common misconception is that we are always on vacation. And while we go to some beautiful places with some incredible amenities, that's simply not the case. We try to keep a lot of normalcy. So I get workouts in, we work and keep a good schedule. But if we always treated it like vacation, we wouldn't be productive and we'd lose track of a bunch of our goals. So while we enjoy these, we also try to keep a lot of the same day to day that you might back at home.
So like Lauren said, we aren't always on vacation, which means we have to work. Now, with that being said, it definitely sometimes can make it harder to get work done. And so we have to be super intentional about sitting down, actually having a scheduled time to get some work done. If you remember back to our video where we talked about getting into our new rig and some of the modifications, we made a dedicated office space, even to a point where if I really need a disconnect from that position, I can close the door and walk somewhere else in the rig and feel like I'm not in a workspace. But it can be hard sometimes because you're in pretty places like this with electrical boxes in the background, because you're in pretty places like this and you just want to go have some fun, sit by a campfire, have a cocktail, eat some good food. So we do at the end of the day have to sit down and get some work done, even if it is pretty. Now the bonus side of that is when we're done with work, we can go have some fun. Yeah. So there is a big misconception because we travel full time that we don't ever get to see our friends and family.
And that's simply not the case. I would argue that we might actually see them more often because we can be intentional in our travel schedules to make sure that we stop and see them. And we get to go with the whole family. We can stay as long as we want, not in their house, in ours, which means we can stay longer.
My bed is better than their guest beds.
Yes, exactly. So, and it doesn't involve like boarding the dogs and a big thing like that. So I would argue we actually get to see them more often.
It is crazy because when we lived in the house, we were 15 miles and about 30 miles away from both of them. And we saw maybe once a month, give or take.
Yeah.
And now, because when we are back in the North Texas area, and we're there a little bit more, but when we do come back from the road, we go and spend very concentrated time with them over the course of a weekend. And then when we hit the road for a little while, we come back and do the same thing. So we're not just sitting around waiting, and we have stories to tell because we've been on the road. So us being on the road has actually spurred more conversations and ideas to take trips with them.
It has, and I think that our time spent together is a little bit more quality. We aren't always rushed,
right.
And I really like that. So when we meet friends, we're always thinking of something to do or somewhere to go eat or experience, and the same thing with our families.
Here's an awkward topic. Is RV life, full-time RV life, cheaper than living in a house?
So that's something that really needs to be talked about because a lot of people think that it is inherently cheaper, and it's not. It is what you make of it. So yes, you can buy a less expensive RV, you can stay at less expensive places, and you can make it cheaper. But you can also buy really pretty shiny RVs that are worth more than your house, and you can stay at some incredible places that you would pay more for an RV site than you do a full-service hotel room. So keep that in mind, that it's not necessarily cheaper, and it is what you make it.
Also, I would say that if you invest in like a boondocking solar system and all that, it has the potential to be cheaper down the road.
Right.
But you have to really commit.
You definitely do. You have to be cognizant of all the potential costs and the maintenance involved too.
So another misconception is that stuff never breaks. Everything is always sunshine and roses and magical tropical drinks and tiki huts. The reality of it is things break. Case in point, we were driving down the road minding our complete own business, and out of nowhere a sheared off lug nut from a semi or something like a semi smashed into our front crab and put a hole in it. An actual hole. See the picture? Hole. Thanks, semi. So things like that happen, and you have to be prepared for that. So luckily we had sealant on board. We can seal it up so that we don't have any water penetration, and we're reasonably good to go at that point. I mean, we still have to get it fixed, but we can at least function. In addition to things breaking, and because at the end of the day, these things break, you're rolling them down the road, you have to deal with the stress of that. And so, you know, things happen at the most unopportune time. You're never going to have a flat tire when you're sitting still. It's always going to be on the highway where it can potentially turn into a massive blowout and a bigger problem. So you have to be prepared for that. Carry things on board that allow you to fix that in a fast and efficient way that will help your sanity. Also, not to just keep piling on here, but you do need to worry about regular maintenance items as well. Hot water heaters, the anode rod that's inside there has to be replaced. Otherwise, you start to get a sulfur smell. You need to grease your axles if you have a traditional torsion axle on your RV, like the Dexter axles that come on most RVs. Even our independent suspension needs to be maintained every year. Brake pads, wear and tear, greasing your hitch, maintaining the hitch in your truck maintenance or towed vehicle maintenance, or if you have a Class A diesel pusher, you know, maintaining your engine in the back, changing oils, all those things. Those don't just magically go away. Air conditioners, the list can keep going on and on. And I think you're tired of me talking about it now. So just know that they don't cause a lot of stress if you maintain things, but that is a big misconception that you don't really have to do anything. The RV's an RV, just go. You have to work on it a little bit.
Another common one is that the dogs get cooped up in this small space. And that would be the case if we stayed inside here. But remember, we came from a ranch with acres and acres and a lovely fenced backyard and a pool for them. And now they get to go on hikes in some of the most beautiful places. They get to sniff all the things. They get to meet all kinds of people. And most of the places that we go have a dog park. So they get off-leash time to sniff other things that aren't on the trails and wild, to sniff other dogs. And it's good for their social life as well, because they get to meet other dogs and develop their manners along the way. So all in all, I actually think that they are happier and better exercised now than they were at the house.
Yep.
Another common one we faced personally was that people said RV life was only for retired folks.
No.
We've met a lot of friends on the road of all ages, and I think this is one of the most common places where age is whatever you want to make of it. Frame of mind.
Now, I will say, I was about to say, we've met some people that are older in physical age and way younger in mental age.
That's right.
I'm one of them. Also, how you RV is really the only thing that kind of starts to separate people, because I've noticed that a older population prefer resort-style campgrounds.
Yeah, maybe.
And I've noticed the younger population seems to prefer more of a boondocking, more adventurous style of RVing. So, but
right.
I'd like to think I'm not old yet, even though I probably am. So I don't like this one.
Old is whatever you make of it. So in our travels, we've come across people of all ages. And I tell you what, the RV community does not discriminate.
So hopefully you learned something from some of our biggest RV misconceptions. If we did not hit something that you're like, you think that people should know, or maybe you have a question on, leave a comment down below. Let us know. We'll either answer it or send it out to everybody else and they can answer it in the comments below.
And if nothing else, hopefully this was entertaining.
Something like that. At the very last, please do me a favor. Again, we've shot this whole video on a brand new camera, and I'm looking for feedback. Do you prefer the other camera? Do you like this camera? I just want to know what you think.
Or did you even notice?
Hopefully you noticed, because this was a lot easier. If you didn't, I'm very sad and about to do things a lot easier. So thank you so much for watching. We can't wait to bring you all the adventures post the Florida RV Super Show, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, Mom.
Now my wheels in motion and my windows open with the wind blowing in my